Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our August 6th council meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Oja.
Here.
Mr. Meneghini.
Here.
Dr. Hayes.
Here.
Mr. Gottstein.
Here.
Mr. Babalani.
Here.
Before we get into the next step, I'd like to introduce Larry Oliveris. Jay is our normal attorney. He's out of town this evening, and Larry, his brother, has agreed to step in and cover any legal questions we might have this evening. Larry?
Thank you. Nice meeting you all. Looking forward to it.
Okay, we need approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of July 16th, 2012. Any additions or corrections?
I'll make a motion we approve the minutes of July 16th, 2012. Support.
Motion made by Chris, supported by Mark. Roll call.
Mr. Meneghini.
Yes.
Dr. Hayes.
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein.
Yes.
Mr. Babalani.
Yes.
Mr. Oja.
Yes. Approval, manifest 2012-15 in the amount of $1,041,314.69. I would like to note that on this manifest, $460,000 of that is taxes that we collected that we are passing through to other taxing agencies like the county or the school. And $120,000 of this is purchase power. Mark.
Okay, I have one on the first page. Under the administration, 6 chairs was $1,002. What?
We have a dozen chairs for the conference room in the basement. The chairs that we had were from, I would say early to late 80s, early 90s, and so we just we ran out of chairs. They were falling apart, so we needed 12 because of the size of the groups. Because of the way we budget, we had 1,000 appropriated. I've been appropriating $1,000 per year. So we had the purchase split in two halves. One in the first part, that was about 3 meetings ago, I think, or it was in June. When
Okay,
we had the
yeah,
first
I seen that there was a couple
Right.
chairs that came through then. I just thought they were a little bit pricey.
Those are the cheapest ones.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And then under the building and grounds, the DTE bill for this building here, I don't know what's all on there, but it's $182. And I looked over all the other buildings that we have, and the average bill is $25. I don't.
Right. I'll put together again that spreadsheet, which shows the.
That's just for this
utility
building,
bills. That's just this
182.
building, and what we have is the type of system that we have. It does still call for gas even during the summer, whereas the other buildings shut completely down. But because of our air circulation in our cooling system, it does still call for the gas system. So there is a bill.
Okay.
But I'll pass that through. I've done that on a regular basis just so you guys can see the updated numbers.
And then I have one on page 3, Terry Spence. I know I've questioned this before. He gets $300. I believe it's on a monthly basis for the DDA service for the downtown. The downtown looks nasty as far as I'm concerned. The weeds, we talked about this a few meetings ago. I know you said the spraying was limited. We couldn't do spraying unless we used the golf course personnel. But the weeds, nobody has taken a weed eater, and it's terrible looking downtown. And I don't know if Terry is able, he's a contracted service. I don't know if he can run the sprayer for us, but we need to do something downtown. I have another one here. Krause Electric, Joe, on page 6. System review of the master plan. It seems like we're seeing this probably 3 times a year. Is that typical? I don't know what they keep reviewing for us. But it's $7,400, and then there's another one here that's $4,300.
This effort for Krause Engineering was approved by the council previously, and this is the last bill that is coming in for that. It has taken over the last 6 months different steps, and that's what it is. It is now
I
done.
mean, then are we good for a while with this reviewing stuff, or what's going on?
Well,
The
that was
hydro
the
project should be pretty well done.
That's the electric system master plan review, and what it is, it evaluates the power lines, it tells us where we should be building new and/or doing other things throughout where the voltage problems are and where we need to put our money, and it also lays out capital to go along with these projects. But to answer your question, we are done for a while with that effort, yes.
Okay, that's all I have.
Chris?
Couple spots, looks like you purchased some new computers from Dell throughout different
Yes.
departments.
Yep.
I guess more of a comment on that. Do we look at doing refurbished computers versus new for some of these locations?
What we did is, we had several computers that were failing. We had worked on them 3 different times, and their computers were so old that they wouldn't even accept any more memory. So what we did is we were talking with the Dell government site. We wanted to get away from using the home-style computer where you get all the programs that you really don't need for a business. And we worked with Dell real closely to spec a computer that would be acceptable, like would be our standard Norway spec, and set it up with Dell. And they gave us a really good price, we felt, on that new computer that has a life expectancy of 7 to 10 years versus a 5-year on a home computer.
7 to 10 years?
Yep, that's what they told us.
That was a line, I will have to say.
Okay, but,
Were
so
those
we,
laptops or desktops?
2 of them are desk, 1 is laptop.
Okay.
Yep.
I guess in the future, I'd just like to see us explore refurbished options for different departments. I
Okay.
understand in more of a heavy use department, if we're using it every day, a new system makes sense, but
Mm-hmm.
if it's in a water department and they're using it, for Word documents, something
Yeah.
simple, a refurbished machine's gonna cost half the price
Okay.
and probably last just as long.
I would like to add then that one of the computers was in the wastewater. It runs the automation and alarming system, so it's used
Sure.
24/7. The water, with the automation in the water system, that computer will be handling all the automation for the water system, and the other one handles automation for the hydro out of our office.
Okay. On page 5, under the television, CCI did some construction. What was that for 24-20?
I'll have to get back to you on that. I don't recall what that was.
Okay. And then on page 6, CCI with the fiber to the hydro for 15-20. I thought that was all completed with CCI. Was that something new for the fiber ring?
No, that the fiber wasn't spliced in. We actually activated that fiber trunk down to the hydro.
Okay. I thought they came
That was
back.
several months ago,
Oh,
Chris.
okay.
It just happened to be getting billed late.
Okay.
I want to add that there is one more for the water department that you're going to see from CCI.
Okay.
We haven't chosen them as a contractor yet to do it, but the splicing that has to be done for the water tower to connect that fiber needs to be done yet.
Okay. That's all I have.
Dr. Hayes?
No question.
Please.
One question, page 1. Assist with labor negotiations, $1,533. I would like to be kept more up to date on this, and maybe for the next meeting, we can have an executive session to discuss labor negotiations so we know where we're at.
Okay.
That's all I have.
I have nothing. So we're looking for a motion to approve manifest 2012-15.
I'll make a motion, we approve manifest 2012-15 in the amount of $1,041,314.69.
Support.
Motion made by Lee, supported by Dr. Hayes. Roll call.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Would anyone in the audience wish to come up and address the council? If you would, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
My name is Wallace Evans, and I live at N 2527 Turning Lane. And what I have to say is to be minute or so.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity. I want to make a suggestion that, to you that I believe would help our cause in persuading ATC to choose a different route rather than the Norway city limits. Here's the suggestion. The council sent ATC a resolution. The council does not want ATC's corridors with associated towers in the city of Norway, Michigan. I would appreciate that. I'm sure other people would too, because I think you folks have more power than the few of us people.
I've already talked to Ray about this, and we're going to be putting something like that together. It'll be sometime in the fall or next year, next spring that we have it. We'll have it, but we are putting something like that together. We want to talk to Norway Township, Waseda Township also, because it's running through their properties too.
Oh, sure.
So we want to make sure we're on board with everybody else before we put together a resolution and do some kind of a joint resolution.
Yeah, it would be nice if you could go right through the whole county of Dickinson and you'd have more influence, I should think.
So that's what we're looking to do right now, but I've already talked to the manager about that, and we're
Okay, thank
been
you.
working on that.
I know, Jeremy, that we usually wait till the end for these comments, other than the manifest, but I was not aware that WPPI owns 15% of the transmission company, and I think we're a member of WPPI, and we should use that to our advantage.
All right, I think so too, I agree. Okay. We have 9 things on the agenda for this evening. The first one is appointments and presentations to the Norway Zoning Board of Appeals. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Norway Area Zoning Board has 3 members from the township and 2 members from the city. We actually have also 1 alternate member, as well as the township has an alternate member. We received a request from Rob Fall for a letter of resignation due to his work schedule. He's been unable to make the meetings and request his resignation. Our alternate member, George Servia, would like to become a full member, so we're recommending that you accept resignation from Mr. Fall and accept Mr. Servia to be appointed as a full member to fill out Mr. Fall's term, which goes through the year 2012. He'll come up again in January.
Do we need to advertise for a city member to run for that?
Yeah, what we'll do is, because we're coming up towards the end of the year, we'll put an ad out, but we're going to have a series of advertisements coming up here in probably within a month or 2 anyway.
That
So
needs to
we'll
be
get that
replaced
out.
by a
City
Norway
resident.
city resident?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I make a motion, we approve Mr. Fall's resignation and put Mr. George Servia in to finish Rob's term.
Second.
Motion made by Mark, supported by Chris. Roll call.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes, and are we going to advertise then for an alternate?
Yes,
member?
we'll advertise for an alternate.
If someone is interested in becoming the alternate in the ZBA, I encourage you to come down to City Hall, and we'll have the applications down here you can fill out. Okay, moving into communications for this evening. First item on the agenda is ordinance number 399, an ordinance regulating the sale and use of fireworks within the city of Norway. We held a public hearing on this ordinance last meeting. We had one change that we needed to make to it, and so it's brought back to the council this evening for review and possible approval. Mr. Anderson, is there anything else?
No, it's, we've talked about this at a number of different council meetings. We did add the section on that the person shall not ignite, discharge, or use consumer fireworks on public property, school property, church property, or the property of another person without that organization's or person's express permission to use those fireworks on those premises. That is a direct line from the actual state code. So, but we wanted to have that in our code so that that could be clear. That's all.
Any questions, comments, concerns? Otherwise, looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve ordinance 399, regulating the sale and use of fireworks within the city of Norway.
Support.
Motion made by Lee, supported by Mark. Roll call.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Approval, Sturgeon Falls Hydroelectric FERC license, milfoil survey. Mr. Anderson.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. You see our report from Utility Superintendent Joe Pickert. Attached with my report, this particular activity is an annual activity. The surveying part is dictated through our FERC license, and then we have actual application on certain off years. This particular year, we're again into a situation where we need to have the milfoil surveyed. The price for that survey is $2,038. Joe's been in contact with EnviroScience. They're the ones that handle our milfoil program. If you have any specifics on that process, or we have the application in front of you.
I noticed in there, Joe, that they're going to be renting a boat. Can we rent them our boat from the hydro?
Usually I go with them with our boat. Yes, that is correct.
Are there any other questions?
I got a comment to make here. I know we're not going to get anywhere with this, but I noticed a while back, and there was probably 2 or 3 different times in the last 6 months, where the county gives, like Hanbury, not necessarily Hanbury Lake, but Sawyer Lake, blah, blah, a few places, they give them money to fight milfoil. Why doesn't the county give us money to fight it? We got a lot of people that live along that river that are private properties paying taxes to the county, and that's where we're fighting the milfoil. Won't hurt to ask.
Lee, just so you know, the first year that we did the planting of the weevils, we had got a $500 grant from Wildlife, Dickinson County Wildlife Federation for that planting. I have not seen another grant opportunity come through, but if there is one out there, I'd be more than happy to fill
But I'm
out
just
the
saying the
paperwork.
county should kick
Yeah.
in. I knew we had that grant, which
Did
was
you?
very
Oh,
nice of the wild.
Yeah, I didn't know
Those
if
people,
you
yeah.
remembered if we had that or not.
No. That's all.
Any other questions? Otherwise, I'm looking for a motion.
I make a motion, we approve the Sturgeon Falls Hydroelectric FERC licensed milfoil survey.
I'll support. Motion made by Mark, supported by myself.
Do we
Roll
have to
call.
put the amount on there?
Oh,
Oh, not to exceed $2,038.
Mr. Oja?
yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Okay, approval, resolution 2012-18, approval for water sludge disposal. The last couple of meetings we've had, or last meeting, Joe had mentioned that we needed, for the state of Wisconsin DNR, we needed to have a resolution acknowledging that the city council knows that we send our wastewater sludge into the state of Wisconsin to be used as fertilizer. Larry prepared this resolution for us this evening, and if you have any questions on it, comments, you can ask Larry. Larry, if there's anything you want to add.
We
Joe?
dispose of it in Michigan?
Yes, we have disposed of it in Michigan also, but the people who wanted to take advantage of that program have fell off a little bit, and we have one in Wisconsin that likes to do it. And so we just basically need that resolution number to put on the paperwork to make it official for the DNR.
Will this resolution be sufficient, Joe?
Yes, it will be.
Any other questions or comments? Not looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion that resolution 2012-18 be approved, resolution approving wastewater sludge disposal in Wisconsin.
Or
Motion made by Lee, supported by Dr. Hayes. Roll call.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes. Resolution 2012-19, wastewater fund deficit elimination plan. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We've been working with the state of Michigan on a couple of our funds that we've been working on some deficit elimination. It's something we've had now for 3 years. This particular year, in order to get a qualifying statement, we have to update that plan. It's not that they're questioning our plan, it's just that because of the economic climate with our bond issues, it's advantageous for it to look at refinancing some of those bond issues. The DDA specifically is looking at refinancing a couple of issues that they have, and in those refinancings, there's potential to save a pretty good portion of money. So the state asked us to update that deficit elimination plan. It has been tracking all along that we've been following that plan, and it's coming to positive. So like I said, it's just it's a paperwork request from the state of Michigan, and the resolution that's attached approves that. Basically, the budget you approved in April or in June.
Okay, any questions, comments from anybody, council, public?
I got one little comment. I probably didn't have much to do with it, but 3 years I've been here now, our debt reduction has improved quite a bit, and every year it keeps getting less and less. Most of that thanks can go to Ray and staff.
It's also nice this year, too, Lee, that we don't have to do one of these for golf, too. This is the first year that I've been on that we haven't had to.
I make a motion we approve resolution 2012-20.
This is 19. That's wrong on the sheet.
Support.
Motion made by Dr. Hayes, supported by Mark. Roll call.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menigino?
Yes.
Resolution 2012-20, resolution authorizing rural development financing of street sweeper. Mr. Anderson.
Okay, again, this is one of the activities that we talked about. Actually, for the last couple of years, we put in, when the ARA funds came out, we did put in for some grant opportunities on some sorely needed equipment. One of the pieces was the street sweeper, but unfortunately, well, fortunately they did pick that, but unfortunately it wasn't our priority. And this past spring, as I went through with the council during budget hearings, we were very close to turning that back because, again, the street sweeper was not a priority, especially to go into any kind of a debt situation. However, we did talk about, and I did talk to the rural development about this sidewalk machine, or what we call a multi-use vehicle. I was able to go out and secure local funding for that outside of the general fund, so that we would not have a debt issue. And so rural development did accept that alternative, and what you have before you now is their process or their procedure for moving forward, which is the actual bid approvals. Joe has worked hard at putting this bid together and receiving these bids, and what you see tonight is actually, there's only one qualifying bidder because of the ARA requirements. There's a Buy American clause, so it does limit those bidding. However, because of the way that grant application or the rural development application is structured, it actually fit well within their plan. So we put the report in front of you, and we're looking for approval to move forward for that street sweeper. Oh, not the bid, but the actual the resolution authorizing us to move forward.
What we're going to be accepting with this is the grant and the loan, except we have the cash already to pay off the loan, and as soon as we are able, we will be paying off the loan immediately. There is no penalty to prepay it, and we are allowed to do that. We got approval from them.
Ray, you mentioned the street sweeper and the sidewalk machine. Which one is it?
Well, the sidewalk machine is the street sweeper because of the broom. Because of the broom attachment, I was able to...
So it's not your typical, because there was no picture attached. Typically, there's a picture attached
No,
when
but
we're
we've had-
bidding on any equipment or looking at any equipment, there's a
Right.
picture.
We've had this through numerous times, and what we've done is we've said, because of the broom attachment, and we showed that to you previously, that they accepted that as quote-unquote a street sweeper, so.
So it doesn't actually pick
It
the
doesn't
material
have
up?
It doesn't have a vacuum to it like a normal street sweeper does. No, it does not. It's called a municipal vehicle. It's about 50 inches wide, 130 inches long. It has many attachments that you can put on it. A snow blower to do the sidewalks.
I remember the machine, but I
Yeah.
mean, we already have a broom similar to that for the skid steer.
Yeah.
And this thing is $141,000 and some change. Where's the rest of the funding? Ray said you had it secured. Is that coming from the DDA or is that coming out of a different city fund?
No, the DDA has approved $30,000 towards the purchase. The water department and the electric department are actually putting money into it, $30,000, 15 piece, and they're going to utilize this skid steer. So the DDA will no longer own the skid steer, and this municipal vehicle is going to be utilized for the sidewalks. That was really what from a political standpoint, that was the reason why we took a look at this. Remember, as we talked about in the budget hearings a number of times, that we were ready to turn that away if it was just a classical street sweeper. But because this particular piece of equipment was viewed very positively by the public, that we wanted to look for a way of trying to secure that local funding outside of the general fund.
The street sweeper, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, that thing was in rough shape, the one that actually picks up. I mean, now we're getting funds for a so-called street sweeper, but we actually still need an actual street sweeper. So where are we going to get the funds when this other street sweeper goes to heck? We can't put in for another one because this is already considered a street sweeper and it doesn't pick up.
We put a lot of money and time in repairing the existing street sweeper we had. You are correct that at one point it was in pretty rough shape, but after talking with Dave and the mechanic, we feel that it is now fairly sound with the work that he's done to it, and we won't be needing one of those pieces of equipment for a while. I really don't know how many years to tell you it's going to last, because it will make a liar out of me more than likely. But this particular vehicle that we're looking at has many uses. It has a flail mower for the front for doing the road ditches. It has a finish mower for mowing parks and playground areas. It has the sweeper. It has a snow blower for snow blowing the sidewalks for school routes for the kids to go to school. And has a salter sander box on the back. So as we do the sidewalks, we can put salt and sand on them so people can actually walk on our sidewalks in the winter.
We actually have equipment to do all those functions in the shop right now. And, you know, if we're going to buy equipment, I don't know if it would be under the same money, but we're transferring money out of the wastewater for taking over the skid steer with the broom on it. The wastewater needs some sort of used trucks.
The wastewater is not.
Or the water. I don't think I think we're wasting our money. I know we're getting grant money, but it's 141 and the grant money is 95, right?
Yeah, just to make sure that, for the record, we're just doing what council asked us to do. If you remember, the council said move forward, so we're moving forward. If council decides that this is not the right thing to do, then we can move forward and explain to rural development that you've changed your mind, and we'll stop the process.
Yeah,
So all we're doing is what council
At one of
asked.
the budget hearings, we had went through it, and council at that point had told the manager and Mr. Pickard to go ahead and move forward.
Okay, well, I wasn't on that majority, but that's where I stand. I think we got better places to put our money.
Is there any other questions or comments? If not, I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we recommend Resolution 2012-20 be approved.
Support.
Motion made by Lee, supported by Chris. Roll call.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
No.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Okay, to go along with that, now we have approval USDA RD MV street sweeper bids. Mr. Anderson.
Well, as I previously mentioned, we did have three companies that were interested in providing us bids. There was only one company, though, that met the requirement of built in America, and that was Bell Equipment, but they did happen to be low equipment or low bidder on the base equipment. There was a flail mower that was added to this, so that's the total price of the vehicle is $141,724. That's with all the attachments. But again, as we pointed out, the amount that the city is going to be responsible for is $95, so it doesn't matter what the attachments are because that's their program. They take away from the grant as opposed to the loan side.
I know when we were looking at these before, we were looking at demo units. Is this a demo unit or a new unit?
No, this is a brand-new unit. This is not a demo unit. They recommended, the funding agency prefers to have new versus used, and so we just went along with the program.
Okay.
Warranty on the new machine?
Yeah, it's a one-year full bumper-to-bumper warranty.
Are we going to be trading any equipment in that we already have in the shop that does the same job?
The only thing that I can think of that we would have that we would maybe consider would be the oversized snow blower that is on the skid steer that doesn't really work that well. So,
How about the broom and stuff?
well, I want to adapt that broom,
that's
the
gotta go
larger
to the-
broom, onto the front of this machine also. So the broom that we're looking at is only a 4-foot wide broom. The broom that they currently use on the sidewalks can't get behind the home line and the back of the light standards. There's always a bump of snow there. When people walk, this new broom will be able to get that out. and
The
clean it
last thing
off.
we need to be doing is maintaining two pieces of machinery that do the same job.
Okay. Any other questions, comments on this?
Joe,
Otherwise-
did you go over all the attachments?
Can I? Yes, I can go over them all, yeah. Hydraulically angling broom, folding V-plow for doing it's just very similar to a boss plow, but smaller, scaled down. Has like 5 different ways it goes. That's for doing all the walking trails. Dual stage snow blower. The snow blower that we have is too wide for the sidewalks, and this is a 50-inch snow blower, so it doesn't rip up people's lawns when we go by and do that. A rear drop sander salter. A front mounted 72-inch finishing mower for mowing the parks. A front mounted 72-inch flail mower for doing the road ditches. And a 14-foot boom mounted brush flail mower that will reach over the guardrails and clear that out also.
Okay, any other questions? If not, looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve the purchase of the MV machine and attachments from Bell Equipment for a price not to exceed $141,724.
Support.
Motion made by Chris, supported by Lee. Roll call?
Mr. Babalani?
No.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menigini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Okay, next on the agenda is Resolution 2012-21, IBEW Electric Contract Retirement Window. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have before you resolution for retirement for Mr. Bob Jedvick. Per your union contract, he does have a 50-25 window. Council needs to move forward with the authorization to open that window, and that's what that resolution is before you this evening. His intent is to retire in October of this year.
With this, is there a reason why we kept this one open for an extra month, or doesn't it matter? Okay, well, this one's till from September 1st to December 31st. Usually we look at 60-day window.
Correct. What we did with this particular window was because of the timing that we're into right now, we wanted to make sure that, under the MERS rules, when they start, you start a window and you end a window, that if you work in, like if he would work into October, we wanted to make sure that that window was there in December.
By union contract, we have to open the window?
The language within this contract is a shall language. And we've talked with the attorney numerous times on that.
Larry, can you add anything to that? Because I know you looked over.
I would concur with what Ray said, that it is mandatory, and it's been a negotiated language, on my understanding is we're required to do something.
Okay. Any other comments, questions?
The only comment that I have is I think we should open the window, and I think the only way the city is going to save money here is if we make an agreement that we don't plan on hiring anybody to replace him. I know that's not part of Bob's window, and I do think we should open the window for Bob, but that's the only way we're going to make out on things like this. And also, we need to get the new hiring language together. I know that has nothing to do with Bob's window, but I just wanted to make a special note.
Okay.
For any new hires in any of the departments, because we have a couple other windows opening also.
Okay. Anybody else? Any questions, comments, concerns? If not, looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve Resolution 2012-21, IBEW electric contract retirement window for Mr. Jedwick.
Support.
Motion made by Lee, supported by Mark. Roll call?
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Approval, Resolution 2012-22, AFSCME contract retirement window. Mr. Anderson.
Well, we have the same situation in ASME with Paula Petrick in the office. She meets the requirements under the 5025 window language, and she has also requested the dates for the window to be opened. We suggesting we open on December 1st and close on January 31st.
Larry, is this contract same?
It appears to be the identical language.
Any questions or comments on this?
Again, I guess I'd like to make a comment. I think we should open the window on this one, and I know we need staffing down here, but I would like to see one person hired on a part-time basis. I know that that has nothing to do with Paula's window, but I'd like that made as a special note.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion. I'll make a motion, we approve Resolution 2012-22. Request for changing MERS benefits to allow open a retirement window for Paula Petrick from AFSCME.
I'll support.
Motion made by myself, supported by Lee. Roll call?
Mr. Menegini?
Yes.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gottstein?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes. And that is the conclusion of our business this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Would anyone from the public wish to get up and address the council? If you do, please come up to the podium. You have 5 minutes. State your name and address for the record.
My name is Jean Bradford. My address is 2465 Travis Farm Road. I have a comment regarding Mr. Mangini. The milfoil survey. I was at the county commission meeting the 23rd of July, and the county did provide monies for milfoil treatment. For definite, they did Sawyer Lake, they did Lake Antoine. Norway Lake had put in a written request to them that was pending. Lake Antoine asked for second monies, and they were considering that. There wasn't a decision on that. And that's just information passing on. In regards to your invoice, and I almost have heart palpitations every time I come here. It's like $250,000 we spend every 2 weeks. Is there any way that the public can get a copy of the invoices that you're paying on that you question?
The manifest? Ray?
I would think it's public record.
Yeah.
And how would I obtain that?
On the Monday of the meeting,
Okay,
you come down here, I would think the easiest way, because it's probably about 10 to 12 pages. So you would want to come here rather than us sending it.
and the Monday of the meeting?
The Monday of the meeting, it's not put out until Friday before the meeting, and that's when it goes in the council packets. But one of the things I want to do is I want to make sure the council has a chance to review it before anybody calls them up and says, hey, you know, we have, what's this on the manifest? I mean, they may not be able to get to the packet till like Sunday afternoon. So what we try to do is wait till Monday when they have every opportunity over the weekend to look at their packets before they get some phone calls, like if you were to call them and ask them questions. So the Monday of the meeting.
Okay. And the council, my understanding now, the council gets it on Friday? Is that what you're saying?
Correct. The packets go out on Friday for the council meeting on Monday. So they have the weekend to review them. And then if Mondays they want to contact me and have questions, they have an opportunity to do that.
Okay, so they have a 3-day opportunity to review
Correct.
the invoice? Okay.
If you'd like, Mrs. Bradford, I can give you the copy of tonight's after, and you can look through it, the 8 or 10 pages, what it is.
But just
Okay.
remember, we don't give the individual invoice. What it is we call it a
Cool.
manifest. So what I mean, it lists out you know, the amounts, the payer, payee, you know, the specifics of it. But we would, you know, we can bring in the individual invoice, but they're about this thick. So I mean, we just have a report that's written out or typed out.
Okay. Because like the manifest today, I mean, $1 million, and we had about 6 questions on it.
A lot of it was taxes, though, like Jeremy had stated in the beginning.
$580 that he described, and the rest,
$460,000.
Yeah.
And
Right.
then $120,000 of that was purchase power.
was what?
Purchase power?
Okay. So of that $1 million, 580
Yeah, $580,000.
is accounted or explained, and the rest is another $500,000 that went to question mark. So that's what I'd like to review. Okay, thank you.
Does anybody else wish to address the council? If you do, please come up. Okay, Lee.
Yeah, I got one comment here. Somebody dropped the ball. In our packet, I got an invitation to the QPAD quarterly meeting up in Iron Mountain someplace, and the meeting was for the previous week.
Yeah, I dropped the ball on that because I didn't get the actual letter until after, you know, I picked it up this week. And I took all those letters and threw them in the packet. And then I noticed on Friday afternoon that it was, or Monday morning actually, that it was the previous week. So.
I'll forgive you. I didn't plan on
apologize.
going anyway, but I'll forgive him. That's all I have.
Well, I had planned on going. That's why I looked at it again to see where it was at, and then I noticed the date, and it's like,
Dr. Hayes?
I had the same concern, but I guess I'm still concerned about this power line that's proposed to go through, and I think the city needs to do something. I'm glad you indicated that we're going to do something, hopefully with the townships and the county. I feel that power lines do have an adverse effect on people's health. It would certainly decrease property values, and it would therefore decrease the taxes that the city collects. And if WPPI is a 15% owner, maybe our representative at WPPI can get some answers from them as to what we can do to stop it. There's a lot of other areas that are not peopled. You know, why would they want to run right through our city? That doesn't make any sense to me, except that it's, for them it's convenient because they're going to go up to the Quinnipiac substation.
Correct. That's the hub of where they want to join it all together.
Right, and then they got a weak spot there, as the gentleman who was in the audience pointed out, that, you know, that's the flaw in their plan.
It depends on how they interconnect it. I mean, there's protection built into everything, but I will talk with the individual at WPPI that sits on the ATC board on the city's behalf.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No.
Mark?
I totally agree with Doc, and I think we should use, like I stated before, I think we should use our connection with WPPI for our benefit. I got a couple other concerns. There's a bunch of manholes, typically on the edge. I believe it's like on a 200 block from Main Street to the school that are falling in heavy. I think the guys would rather fix them now than fix them this winter. Joe, I got some concerns about Poopore subdivision. I know we've been out there doing some work. I'd like some information on it.
Okay.
What's going on out there. I know that they're adding some residencies out there, and if that's why the power is not adequate, I like your side of the story, I guess, on that.
Okay. Yeah, I can go over that with you. Absolutely.
I'd like to hear it now.
The way you asked it, I thought it was a conversation you and I were going to have after. Okay. Poopore's put a subdivision in approximately 6 years ago. Paid everything to have it all underground, transformers, paid to have cable put in and everything, so it's all ready to go. There's an individual that is now building a home in that subdivision. It's the very first home that's going in. We went out there to hook up that home, and when we checked the voltage in the meter socket, we came to find that the voltage is low in that area. We were getting 112 volts in that meter socket. So we went back and started checking voltage in the homes. I had not had any complaints at this point from any residences out there, but indeed it was low. For lack of better words, we'll call that the second half of the loop, because it actually feeds from the fairgrounds, through the fairgrounds and by the cemetery, and then it loops all the way around and hits the backside. So it's on the very end of that 2,400 volt line. I believe that what we're looking at is, over time, the residents that live out there have added load in their homes, air conditioning load, whatever it may be, that many years ago they didn't have. That line is a 1930s vintage line. The wire is very small, and was one of the lines that was earmarked in the system master plan that was going to have issues. We just happened to find it when we were going to hook up this home, which has no load yet other than a skill saw. And we need to address getting that voltage up to a level that's acceptable. And we're going to do that by an improvement plan coming off of the new hydro line that we just redid this past, not this summer, but the summer before. We're going to put a little piece of underground in, and another pole and a step-down transformer to take the 14,000 volts and step it down to 2,400 volts, and then cut the line basically in half, make the loop 2 pieces, and give them some voltage relief on that second half.
Is the city being compensated for that?
No, it is not.
They should be. Because in the past, and you know exactly what I'm talking about, when there's a project that I did up on Curry Road, I built it with the understanding that the power was there, and we didn't have enough power, and I had to pay for the main line upgrade. And I'm expecting that this upgrade is going to be covered by somebody and not the city. I'm going to be watching it real close.
Okay.
FERC, how are we doing down at the dam? I know the FERC people are coming this week, I believe.
They are the 9th.
The laser, whatever we had set up there, did we get pictures before we
It's-
dewatered and after we dewatered?
There were many pictures taken when it was dewatered. The laser's in and working properly. I see no issues that we'll have with the FERC over anything down there. We've gone over all the safety concerns with Kaiser and their guys that are working down there. They're doing a very good job of using their fall arrest and entering the confined space areas and monitoring.
Was there pictures They were taken before it was dewatered?
Yeah, not before the water was out. We took pictures right after the water was out.
I thought there needed to be before and after pictures. I thought that's what you said last time we were in the meeting when you were explaining that to us.
I don't recall saying before pictures, but that, we don't need before with the water in it. You can't see anything except just the water. But as soon as the water came out, we took pictures of it, and in fact, we found an infestation of zebra mussels in there that was quite overwhelming. Millions of them. Had to all be pressure washed off the equipment before we could remove it. That took 3 days to clean the zebra mussels out. The project is going well. They're putting in the barge, started today, and they're going to put the crane on the barge, start engineering for the new equipment to come in. Last week, we had Coleman Engineering come in. You approved that piezometer installation. That hole has been core drilled, and so when Kaiser is done with the installation, we'll be ready to put the piezometer in. I think everything's going well. Had a few hiccups at the hydro over the weekend. Some equipment was starting to get wore that was extremely voltage sensitive, and we ended up putting in some overtime trying to get the hydro back online. It was off for several hours, 2 nights, for 2 nights.
How's the water situation?
It's getting down there, Mark. They started drawing water out of Way Dam early this year to try to compensate for the lack of rain. The hindsight, bad part of that would be that this winter, when we normally do our drawdown for Way Dam, we don't have the water to do that. It's already going to be drawn down quite a bit. So we won't get the good winter running like we normally would because we used it for the summer. We're still at 1,000 CFS to 1,100. We can generate about 1.2 megawatts of power, which our city loads right now, we're in the vicinity of 6 megawatts to 7 megawatts on the hot summer days, and that reflects in the power bill that we had of $120,000 to purchase what we couldn't generate.
Did they start on the roof?
No, they did not start on the roof. Last week, the contract was signed, and they received it. I talked to the gentleman over the phone, and he's going to wait till some of Kaiser's guys get out of the way before he comes in and does his job.
Okay. The only other one I have is I was looking through the executive side of the memo, and I see Joe's involved in the labor negotiations for some of the guys. I don't believe that that's necessary. I think we should have Jay. I see Ray and Jeremy were involved, and Joe, and I think we should have Jay instead of Joe because it really doesn't concern Joe.
On that day, we had asked Jay if he could be there, but he had to be in court. Otherwise, Jay would have also been included.
Well, what I'm getting at is I don't believe Joe, it has nothing to do with Joe's negotiations, and I don't believe Joe should be. I think he's got a lot on his plate, and I think he should be involved in other things.
I was asked to step in, Mark, to give him areas in the contract that I thought needed to be changed to do the operations better. That's my involvement. It's not sitting in the actual negotiation downstairs.
Yeah, well, Joe's part of it was a lot of, like you had said, we should be looking at the new hire stuff, bringing that kind of.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Chris?
Joe, any update on the fiber ring project?
We are waiting for an estimate from CyberZone with a contractor that they would like to use to splice that fiber. I already have one from CCI that I'm sitting on. As soon as I get that information, I'll pull the trigger on that and get it in here for your approval to fire up that piece of fiber. And
I thought we had paid CCI to splice all that fiber a year ago, 2 years ago.
we couldn't splice one piece because there was no way to, the dead end, there was no building there, it was just curled up on the ground.
Okay.
So now we have a small, for lack of better words, a Bueller building, just a little wood frame building, sitting there, and we're ready now to have that spliced into the system.
CyberZone has finished the rest of the project, they're just waiting on this one piece?
We're waiting on this piece to finish the project. There's a couple more routers that have to be put in place, yes.
The sewer project, that we had talked about over
Yes.
budgeting? What are we?
This month, we're going to get the word from WPPI whether or not they approved the $80,000 grant that we applied for. I believe it's supposed to be coming on the 14th is their decision. And once I have that, I will be bringing forward to you all of the paperwork and the opportunity and explanation of why it's a good idea to do that project.
Oh, if you get that all together, are we still gonna be able to do that project before winter?
There's some engineering that has to be done. An engineering firm needs to be selected, so there's quite a bit. I would say that that's probably a next summer project, not this summer.
Because I think some of the calculations we did as far as wanting to move forward with that project was seeing that savings this year,
Yeah.
this budget year.
There's some parts of it that we could possibly get done this summer, like changing the diffusers and installing the dissolved oxygen sensor. But as far as putting in the VFDs and the blowers, I think it's a little bit of a stretch. Maybe we can get it done, but I can't promise you that it's going to be done this summer.
The last thing I have has to do with a request I made a couple months ago, probably 6 months ago, on getting the meetings online and also working with the Facebook page that we've been talking about. As far as I know, we have the social media policy approved and the guidelines set in that, but nothing further has taken place. I think it's advantageous of us to start getting on the Facebook side of things to get some of this information out. As far as this ATC meeting that was held today, that was another avenue that we could have used to get out to the public. But I'd like to see some actual movement on these two issues.
After the last council meeting, I had talked with Ray and Barb Zeman. And on the Facebook end, what we're going to be doing is getting the password information and the login to more of the staff, so that if we have something like this, Tricia could put it on, or Lisa could put it on. We won't have to get everything through Barb. Barb puts on everything we give her. But this way we can do it ourselves.
Well, I think
Something like
the stuff that Barbara's putting on is more of a Norway community site, where I'm looking at more of a city of Norway
We had
kind
that
of information.
We've had that conversation with Barb. She'll put on whatever we give her, so
Okay.
the holdup right now is us.
Okay.
We'll get on that.
Okay.
Ray, do you have any idea what's going to take place with that meeting that we just had with ATC? Is that going to be televised on Channel 7?
We did tape it. I guess that's, if you guys want it on TV, we'll find a spot within the programming and put it out there.
I think we
I
should.
think it should be, yeah. It's going to be a little, I don't know if we can do anything when we put it on with adjusting the volume, because he was walking around a lot and away from the mic a lot, so that people might have a hard time hearing. I don't know if we can adjust it up.
It's tough on our side. One thing we did was we separated it so that if you're just tuning in to watch the meeting, we knew that this was going to be an hour plus and the other one, so we wanted to separate that out. So we have two separate.
I think it's a good idea if we can get it online.
And what about I know we've talked about getting have you had any updates from Barb on getting the meetings online? I know
That, again, is in our court. Barb is doing everything that we're asking her to do. The holdup is on our end, and we'll get that unlodged.
When I said online, I meant on Channel 7
Right on.
for that meeting.
Yeah.
The only thing I have is, we're getting toward the end of summer now, and the summer help's going to be leaving. Where are we on our park maintenance that we were going to be tackling this summer? More specifically, also, my question is about the pavilions specifically.
I
Park maintenance in general.
talked with David about trying to get those pavilions stained up. I have a little bit of work to try to figure out what we're going to do with the Marion Park Pavilion, because there's so many layers of lacquer on that, and to strip that off is going to be quite an effort. And the whole thing is lacquered. So, and I notice that it is peeling and it's pretty thick. So I have to get with a company like Sherman-Williams or somebody to come down free of charge to evaluate it and let me know what kind of a product to put on there to eat all that off. It's going to be quite an effort. But as far as the 7th Avenue 3rd Ward Park, that has no finish other than the stain itself with the waterproofing protective. That one is a fairly simple one to do. But I have directed people to try to get that done yet this summer.
Okay.
Those products that eat that stuff off, the summer students probably aren't going to be able to touch that stuff anyway.
Yeah, I don't really know what to do about that, you know. I'm going to ask Sherman-Williams, see what they have. And you're right, the summer help kids probably can't. Some of our full-time employees or people that are specially trained will have to try to take that stuff off. So that's something I have to look into.
Ray, is there anything we can do with the weeds downtown? Do you think we can
Yeah,
get something going on?
I had Kurt all set to get down here, and he had some wrenching out at the golf course. We had some issues with the fairway moors, kind of put him behind. So he came in last week and apologized because he was all set. And
But I mean, even the summer students that take the weed eaters through there and just kind of eat them down, I think you got to eat them down before you spray them anyway, don't you?
yeah. Well, no, we should be on it. So we could get those guys down through.
Yep, I got it wrote down.
I'm also trying to free up extra people too that can do the spraying because, I mean, it's Roundup.
Yeah.
It's basically what it is. So, I mean,
Okay, Joe, anything else?
No, I've pretty much covered everything already. There's nothing to add.
Tricia, anything you want to add?
No.
Larry, thank you for being here this evening. And my pleasure.
The only thing I wanted to add, are we doing anything with that cable? I was told that the cable for channel 6, 3, 4, 5, and 6, it's dropping out. Every time I go downtown, I get somebody that bumps into me and says, what's going on?
You are correct, it is. And I just want to, we get those off-air channels from cable CCI. They're piped in from O'Connell Falls. Okay? They've been having some equipment issues down there that's extremely irritating. I want you to know that I have voiced my opinion. Ray has voiced his at our dismay about how the reliability is on all those stations. We have procured equipment to do it all ourselves, to get those channels on ourselves. The antennas are already purchased, and I'm just waiting for the opportunity to free up 2 of my linemen with the big bucket trucks so we can assist the cable guys in putting the antennas up and getting it hooked in. I'm trying to finish the fairgrounds project before we do that because I'm on a deadline before the fair to get that done. And then I wanted to do the voltage improvement on WP Road to get that done before we went to the antennas. So that's kind of the way it shakes out right now.
Ray, anything you want to add?
no, I think we've had a pretty long night and appreciate everybody coming out. You know, this issue with the transmission line, it's important that everybody stay engaged, and including us. So we'll do our best to try and help facilitate.
With that, I need a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Support.
Motion made by Mark, supported by Chris. Roll call.
Dr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Gopstein?
Yes.
Mr. Babalani?
Yes.
Mr. Oja?
Yes.
Mr. Menigini?
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.